Hello and welcome to the pond. I'm your host, the Bullfrog, and we are analyzing the literary works of George R.R. Martin, mainly the world of A Game of Thrones, the books of A Song of Ice and Fire. And we are focusing on one aspect of this, the Freys.
I needed to get rid of sons and daughters. You see how they pile up?
Too many of the fandom wants to see them destroyed, and I think there's more going on. And this video and many others are going to be in a unique position. The video before this was A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, The Mystery Knight. And after this would go into the book series, A Song of Ice and Fire. But we're trying to lay out the information chronologically. And, well, there's a lot of information in between these books. And they're going to be spread out a whole lot. We're not trying to milk it, far from it. We're trying our best to bundle these videos right now because some information is going to be too big that it has to have one whole video dedicated to it. While there's information so little that we ended up cutting it and splicing into two. But we're going to try to do this chronologically. And this video is one of those videos that's going to have two pieces of information. But you already saw the thumbnail. It's going to be about the Lannisters and the bastard Walder, so let's get right into it. Let's start with the Lannisters. When Tywin was around 10 years old, this is how it happened. His dad wasn't a strong enough man. This was a weak man. And he was third in line. But his twin brothers, who were older than him, died, which led him to rule. And he was not meant for it. He wasn't groomed to be a leader as young as his older brothers were. And he was a weak man. And he did more to appease than to lead. And this led to his section of the Seven Kingdoms not doing well. And he wasn't good at social events.
At feasts and balls, guests felt free to mock his lordship, even to his face. Twisting the lion's tail, this was called. And young knights and even squires vied with one another to see who would twist the lion's tail the hardest. It was said no one laughed louder at these japes more than Lord Titus himself.
And him being like this, Lord Frey decided to take the advantage. After all, this was an advantage of a lifetime. And he goes to Sir Titus Lannister and goes, "Hey, Lannister, you have an only daughter. I have my son, Aemon, my second-born. That's right, my second-born son."
Late that year, Lord Titus agreed to wed his 7-year-old daughter, Jenna, to a younger son of Walder Frey, Lord of the Crossing. But though 10 years of age, Tywin denounced the betrothal in scathing terms. Lord Titus did not relent, yet still men could see that this iron-willed, fearless child was hard beyond his years and nothing like his amiable father.
And this led to hooks being put in Casterly Rock. And this marriage between Jenna and Aemon did lead to a family line. And we'll go into that later on. It's going to be part of probably one of the most epic videos of this genre.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's going to be hard, but that's beside the point. Because this claw hold that the Freys have in Casterly Lock is abused. And no, where in A Song of Ice and Fire says this more clearly than this.
Before him, a flight of broad stone steps led up to the entrance of one of Harrenhal's colossal round towers. 5 knights and a Northman stood looking down on him, one pale-eyed in wool and fur, the 5 fierce in mail and plate, with twin tower sigils on their surcoats. A fury of Freys Jaime declared. Sir Danwell, Sir Aenys, Sir Hostine. He knew Lord Walder's sons by sight. His aunt married one, after all.
You hear that? Their uncle being married to Jaime's aunt. The Freys came along. That much. Jaime knew these guys by sight. More than that, by name. So there is something very unique and, well, rough. But things aren't always what they seem. I know I mentioned that Jenna and Aemon have a family tree. Well, the thing is, she isn't as loyal to her husband. After all, she was married to him when she was basically 7, and he was married to her when he was 14.
Jaime remembered many a feast where Aemon sat poking at his food sullenly, whilst his wife made ribald jests with whatever household knight had been seated to her left, the conversations punctuated by loud bursts of laughter.
So this marriage wasn't a healthy marriage. Their oldest son is his boy. The proof is in the pudding.
Sir Cleos looked like a weasel and fought like a goose, and had the courage of an expressly brave ewe.
This favors the Freys more than the Lannisters. And this takes a unique turn later on. Mainly with that family tree bit. And yeah, this seems a little light, skim through, but believe me, it's worth it.
I would let myself be consumed by maggots before mocking the family name and making you heir to Casterly Rock.
The information about Walder Rivers is very unique because in order to see his information and have it all laid out, you have to read the books and the appendix because there's half-truths on both sides.
Wait, what?
You have to put them both together to see the whole story.
Really? Why?
It's in A Feast of Crows that you see that Walder Rivers is Ser Walder Rivers.
Lord Aemon Frey joined them, with his wife Lady Jenna claimed her stool with a look that dared any man to question her presence. None did. The Freys sent Ser Walder Rivers, called Bastard Walder, and Sir Rymon's firstborn Edwin.
This is a knight. So this bastard-born son climbed up the ranks to become a knight. But the only way how to do that is basically have your dad acknowledge you. Even more than that, he does have 2 children, a son and a daughter. And interesting enough, it's not in the appendix, but in the book of A Storm of Swords. You know that scene where Robb is apologizing to all of Walder Frey's daughters, and Walder Frey is pointing down, you besmirched her, the twins, and
Waldina.
I'm Mary.
Fine.
that is the granddaughter of Walder Rivers.
He squinted down at the younger of the girls. Eh? Are you another Walda? The girl could not have been more than 4. I'm Sir Aemon Rivers, Walda, Lord Great-Grandfather, she curtsied.
That's not in the appendix. It's only right here. And this is not the end of the interesting facts about Ser Walder Rivers. In the prologue of A Storm of Swords, the prologue is about Chet and how he became a member of the Night's Watch at the Wall. From picking flowers and trying to woo a girl, and she refused him, and he ends up stabbing her and running away. Oh! And he gets as far as this location, till he's found. And his judge is gonna be Walder Rivers.
When they caught him down near 7 Streams, old Walder Frey hadn't even bothered to come himself to do the judging. He sent one of his bastards, that Walder Rivers. And the next thing, Chet had known that he was walking to the wall with that foul-smelling black devil, Yoren.
Sit down and think about this. This is before the book series. Okay? So who should have been in charge of this trial was Walder Frey. But his son Stevron is alive, and he's not mentioned at all. Only Rivers is there. Ser Walder Rivers. He is sent to be the judge. It's kind of highlighting that he is given a lot more responsibility to exercise. He is someone loyal. It may sound weird, but it is. We'll go more into it in a future video. This is more like highlighting interesting facts. And it's really interesting. Because, again, this is the bastard son. Because what does Catelyn Tully say in A Game of Thrones?
He was welcome to whatever solace he might find between the battles, and if his seed quickened, she expected he would see to the child's needs. He did more than that. Starks were not like other men. Ned brought his bastard home with him and called him son for all the North to see.
That sounds weird. I mean, this is Catelyn Tully, the daughter of Walder Frey's High Lord. So she just acknowledges that information. Some people may say this is a plot hole that George Martin may have done. And I personally don't think so. It almost feels like it's, well, strategically placed. Because this is George Martin highlighting Ed Stark and how noble of a man he is. So it's shining this big bright light, and we have this biased view. But when you go down the book, and this is closer to the end, and we see Walder Frey, and he has a ton of bastards, and we have this guy, the head of the bastards, maybe. But we have all of this stuff, all of this information. It's kind of showing off that maybe she may be an unreliable source, but you want to say maybe she doesn't know as much, but she's the one who volunteered. She's the one that instigates and talks and comes up the deals with Walder Frey and how to work with him. So everything about the information that I'm highlighting here kind of goes into there's something more strategic happening. And it's talking about highlighting things, the Lannisters that I mentioned at the beginning. The second son married the daughter to a powerful family. Last time that happened, that was in A Dance of Dragons. In our Walder Frey episode, he proposed to a powerful family, and he was the second son. Yet, that failed.
Ouch.
But this is the second time that happens, but this time it succeeded. It's like George is writing that history repeats itself, but it's more in the sense of, not exactly, it's more like rhyming with itself. And the Freys have history repeating. And then we have this right here. And how, well, and how it will play out. There's only one way to find out, and that is to continue going on. But this is this episode. There's going to be more coming up. And I hope I can continue on with this. I'm not saying I'm stopping. I'm just saying I need a break right now. Not from these videos, just from this moment, because this is a big rabbit hole, and I bet none of you saw this one coming. And there's a bigger video. It's not in this next one, but it's in the future, and it's probably the most intimidating video of the timeline section of the Freys. I'm just worried that it's coming closer now, though, even though I started this section.
I'm coming to get you.
Yikes.